In this video, I'm going to give you a tour of the Discussion List app for Android. This is a free application. There are no ads, there's nothing to buy, etc. It's a program for letting you focus on questions one at a time. We use it to go on a weekly walk and discuss the relationship, but you could use it for anything where you'd like to be prompted with specific questions or quotations or meditative statements. You can see, like most of my Android apps, you can organize items into categories. For example, if we edit this one, are you getting enough alone time? I've clicked it. It shows us its creation date. We can click edit. You can see you can set categories. If you wanted a new category, you could just write something here. If you create a new category, it'll add a tab for it. You've got some internal notes you can write. You can also mark it as a favorite. When you mark something as a favorite, it will automatically pop up in the favorites tab. So we've got two categories filled, relationships and favorites, and then the all basically just shows you all of your categories. So this is the main view of the app where you would manage your questions. And then from inside the app, if you click on this little button here, you enter the slideshow mode, where you can see there are 19 items, and you swipe right to go to the next one, or you could swipe left to go backwards. It will by default randomize this presentation list, but remember the random order when you shut down your phone or turn it back off. So basically, if I had closed this app on this question and then came back to it another day, it would come back and remember where it was. And then when you get to the end, let's say, and you wanted to start a new list, you could just say restart the slides, and now it's re-randomized and started you back at the start. You can also click here to advance. If you get to an item you want to edit, you can edit it right from here. In addition to this, so the program will by default remember what mode you're in. So after you've edited or created or imported a list of discussion, you might never go back to this. Sorry, that's the options. You might never go back to the main list view until you want to edit items or organize them or start a new category. So if you have lots of categories here, if you go to, for example, favorites and start the slideshow, well, now you see we're only in these two slides. So it shows a slideshow mode of whatever category you're in when you start it, and then it remembers that. So you probably will spend most of your time in here. Let's see, what else can we do? We can take a look from the management section. Well, let me show you first the most useful one when you start the program, which is if you go to Tools and then Import and then choose Browse Suggested Imports. We've got some sets of questions that it can import in from the web, and I'm just going to import this one from the New York Times. So you can see it's queued it up, it's going to download it, and then it's going to merge it in. So if we look now, we have a new category of 36 questions from an interesting New York Times article about how to build closeness in a relationship. And so now we've added this, and if we go to slideshow mode, now we can see, we can scroll through these questions. And if we went to the, if we went to the all section, for example, and then started a slideshow, we now have a mix of our relationship and New York Times questions presented in random order. If you wanted to delete all the New York Times questions, you could just go in here. You could say Tools, delete all items in current section. If we said yes, it would delete all the New York Times questions. What else can we do here? We've got import and export. So there's a nice simple import data mode. If you have a plain text list of questions, you can just format that as a simple one line per entry and import it in. We've got bulk markers here we can turn on if we wanted to delete a whole bunch or change the category of a whole bunch, etc. We've got data. We can take a look at the size of the file. We've got a help page here we can look at. Let's turn off these bulk edit selectors. We've got different ways we can view. We can hide or show items marked as hidden. We can sort by date, alphabetical, by length, etc. We can search for items. For example, if we searched for love, we would find 4 total, 2 in the relationship category, 2 mentioning love in the New York Times category. What else can we do? We can add an item here. So here's a little form for adding an item. We write the question. We can have our notes. We can put it in a specific category. Again, you can just make up a random one here if you wanted. Like, let's say we wanted to do experimental. And we say, how is, you have to forgive me typing on an emulated keyboard here. Okay. So we've added an item. We put it in experimental category, so there it is. And then if we viewed the slideshow, there's our question. Okay, so that's the main program. Oh, actually, let me show you some of the options here. You can customize the font scaling. You can customize light or dark theme. This is all options that are in most of my Android apps. You can customize the font scaling in portrait and landscape mode, which is sometimes useful on a phone or tablet to get maximum visibility. You've got a whole bunch of different options for how to display the categories and the items. You've got some advanced stuff. Okay, so those are the main options. Now if we leave the program, it's also got support for widgets. So here I've created a widget. A widget works much like the main program. You can click to advance and click down here to go backwards because swiping isn't supported on widgets. Each widget, you could have multiple ones, but you click the widget, you can choose, you can customize the title, the font scaling, the border, the colors, background, foreground. You can specify what category the widget should display. So by default, all combined. But if we just wanted the widget to show the New York Times one, we could do that. And there we go. So that's discussion list for Android. Give it a try.